pharmacy. We built, I don't like to say I built because no one builds companies like that alone. So we built Guardian Health, which is really the largest retail pharmacy chain here. It's probably the most valuable, at least in the region, I think. Which we exited, which I exited, I think, 2 years and some change ago. But because of the things I faced trying to build that company, especially the injustice that comes with building any reasonable business, below a certain level of business, you'll fly under the radar of the sharks. But once you get up and start threatening other people's lunch, then you get situations where you pay billions of shillings for buildings and courts recognize you as a rightful occupant, and you never work there. Because then another person has a bigger access maybe to a sitting speaker or to a police boss somewhere or to a board chairman at National Drug Authority, and they will just come out and say rules don't matter, it's just brute force. So after experiencing a lot of that, I figured, before I start building another company, at least in healthcare, I need to try and shine a spotlight on some of the injustices that are happening in this country. So that's why you see me working with an organization called Public Square. Public Square is we call it a poor man's think tank, and quasi-civil society organization. It works in the space of public accountability, area of governance, civic education, climate change and energy transition. We had an arm on entrepreneurship, but I felt it's still there, but it biases me because that stuff I've done from the age of 6. So you think about it and you're like, I need something different, something challenging. But yeah, we've done plenty of work in public accountability. A lot of the anti-corruption campaigns that you probably have seen online, chances are high we originated that work or part of that work. There's the most famous one or the infamous one, that March to Parliament thing that came out of the parliamentary exhibition. So we partnered with another organization to get that work done. The work that led to the recent firing of the Electoral Commission boss and top bosses, that was work we did. There's work that we did where I think it was, I forget how many months ago, when policemen were dragging an old woman in mud in Mbarara because some Gaga connected to the state wanted her land. Kabatoraine were still grappling with that case. We did that work. Led to the firing of 4 policemen within 24 hours, and then they're now being criminally charged. And we're supporting a civil case against them. So I've used a lot of my resources, and both time and money, to get this work off the ground. And it's a very painful work, but I feel like it's work that someone must do, because it's exciting to make a bit of money and then go buy fancy houses, go and live the good life. But then you don't really want to be the richest fool in Islam. You can't build walls high enough to protect you from inequality. So if you can make a contribution towards elevating other people's station in life. You try and do it. I'm not the most holy person or the most generous or the most. Part of this work is purely selfish. I want to live in a better society. I want my daughter and my kids and people I care about to live in a better society. And if the justice system doesn't work, which is where now we spend a lot of our time, if the justice system doesn't work, society crumbles. Recently I was looking at, you said 15 minutes, yeah. Recently I was looking at a dear friend's post, very famous lawyer actually, one of the president's best lawyers, yesterday saying, you know, Greater Masaka area has such a case backlog and one judge that if they did not judge more than 22 years to solve those cases. It's absolutely wild and staggering reading that statistic. But last year, the Chief Justice, who is the head of the judiciary really, came out and indicated that, you know, the case resolution rate at the Supreme Court level was so abysmal that if they didn't take any other case, they would take 10 years to solve the cases they have. And this is the highest funding that has gone to the judiciary in the history of this republic. So if justice doesn't work, how are you going to attract investment here? If people bite the bullet and invest here, guess where the resolution of conflict is going to be? It's going to be in the UK. Literally happened to me. Got into conflict with my investors, and you know the cost of just mediation could easily go to £100,000. So what does that mean for a young entrepreneur like you? What does that mean to someone who has dreams of building a chain of pharmacies, a chain of hospitals, a chain of garages, coffee shops and stuff like that, and employing many young people? The cost of capital in this country is ridiculous. You're buying money at close to what? Close to 30%. And that's if you can put up maybe houses like this. A guy will come, you think, oh, I can maybe charge $700,000 for my house, and the bank will tell you, no, value is $150,000. And we're giving you half of that. Like, when will you? Yeah, unless you're selling cocaine. How are you going to get that money? So also in this country we have a mismatch of capital. Capital is in the hands of some of the least productive people. Politicians who have access to the national purse will have this money. They do not know how to grow businesses. If they come into an area where you are, most likely they will talk to their friend who is running your regulatory agency to squeeze you out of the market. They will figure out a way to make sure you get bigger tax bills. It's absolutely atrocious, and someone needs to speak up about it, which is what we do. So before I came here, I was, as Public Square were doing an air quality campaign together with a coalition of the willing from New York University and University of Wisconsin. That's why you see that thing there, that helmet with a W. They're both. There's two W's. The one with red is Wisconsin. The other one is my alma mater, the University of Washington, the place where I learned how to think. Nice. I give those guys so much credit. But anyway, we want to start a conversation around air quality. There's a certain inequality around access to the air you breathe. You might not believe it, but I'm thankful that a lot of you guys are medical doctors, And you can look into this and look at the air quality issues of Uganda. Looking at stats, and air quality kills anywhere from 10 to 30,000 Ugandans every year. It's one of the biggest killers in this country. And we tend to think that the problem comes from buying old cars and factories and stuff like that. But today we came back from a 21 kilometer walk. I mean, with Joe Walker. You know Joe Walker, that legend who has been doing activism around road safety. He's an incredible human being. So he agreed to work with Public Square just to highlight the disparities in air quality. And it's quite staggering how poverty actually also exposes you to poor air quality. And then we keep wondering, why do poor people die earlier than the rich? You find that in certain pockets, Kampala's air quality is more than 40 times. Well, what we saw today, so in some pockets of Kampala, the scale couldn't even measure. So meaning it was way more than like 500. So it was more than 20 to 30 times the WHO recommended safe zone. Meaning people in those areas really should be walking around with masks all the damn time. So we hope we'll bring this conversation to the nation and do some common sense interventions. We saw places like that swamp in Nalia, the one between Metroplex and the flats. You know that place has the best air quality. Reason you have that, you have that thing soaking up a lot of these toxins. Then you have trees around. Then you run via the Kavaka's residence and you find, man, fantastic air quality. Then you just go down and those slums, it's atrocious. Then you go to the industrial area in Tinda and you find, like, but also if someone is beaten to that extent and the justice system acknowledges that someone has been beaten to that extent, why do they charge them for murder? Why do they charge them for murder before they get a lot of before they even do DNA analysis on the killer weapon? They do finger. It takes 10, 15 years to resolve a land matter in the courts of law. That's so much capital locked in there. If it's unlocked, who knows how much money should come. It will be a long slog, but we'll make it work. I'm toying with many other ideas, but who knows, maybe sometime soon I'll come out and build a chain of 50 pharmacies. Who knows? When that spark, in entrepreneurship, you need that oomph. You need, because the process is so absolutely punishing. You need a calling that is bigger than money. You just need to go like a certain righteous. You see, today she's not around, but one time. So, you can shoot. There's no order, just ask. I'll hear you.
So is it a Q&A session?
Absolutely.
It's a conversation. Anything goes.
What do you think are some of the challenges facing young people, like trying to start businesses in Uganda today?
Oh, man. So Uganda is the most, well, it's not the most, it's like the second most entrepreneurial country in the world after Ecuador. There's something we call early stage entrepreneurial activity. If If I get a tray of eggs and go to the street and sell them, I'm an entrepreneur. From that, I could end up opening restaurants upon restaurants that just sell eggs and whatever else we can make from eggs, beanie, all that stuff. I need to own the company. I need to own the company myself. This is my baby, so no one else comes in. Myself. This is my baby, so no one else comes in. But look, oftentimes you can be a vision holder and just say, guys, I want to go and build 50 stores over the next 3 years. What do I need? I'm going to just walk you through that 3 years. What do I need? I'm going to just walk you through that pharmacy model. If I want to build 50 pharmacies, I'll identify 4 billion times 2 is what?
4.8.
Yeah, that company is worth $1.5 million. Now, if I get that 1.5 from 2 stores and make it 50 stores and tell you that in 4 years I'm going to build a company with 50 stores. So it's 1.5 million for 2 stores, times 25. What's the value?
37.
That's a company that's worth $37 million. I can get up here and build a $37 million company in Uganda in 4 years. But you must have some belief. As we go like, can you really have a pharmacy that makes 100 million? Yes. A lot of them that are nicely located, that are in well stocked and nicely designed, they do that. But what stops us building up to like 50 of them and getting other people, attracting a boots in here? Money will follow return. Attracting a discount here. South African businesses are running us off the streets. I mean, build it and sell it. You get? So for me to convince a bunch of guys to say, look, here are my projections. Here is a model, a returns model. If you give me $1 million today while I have 2 stores, while the value of my company is 1.5 million, I am not going to give you even 50% of that. Because now I have sweat equity, I'm the one who knows how to build, I'm the one who is going to grow your money. So give me $1 million now for 40%, okay, of this $1.5 million company. If we grow it to 20 stores, it's a $15 million company. If you have 40% of a $15 million company, your $1 million is now worth how much? 40% of 15, like maybe 6-ish. That's a solid return. So now, on the way to that, if before we get to 20, we use this $1 million and build up to 10, and then we get patient debt, because at that point, debt financials that are outside this exorbitant ecosystem that we are in will want to touch you. So then you grow to 20. Okay? Your collateral is your equity. You're bankable. The money is being seen. It's going into the bank. You innovate around these physical stores. There's many things you can do around this. You can sell nutraceuticals. You can sell cosmetics. You can sell pretty much everything in pharmacies. So then, after you get to 20, you do another raise. Now at 20, you have like a value of $15 million, right? Your target is 50 stores. So at that point, you say, okay, how much money is going to take us to 50 stores? Maybe $5 million. How do you raise it? Invite investors. How much of the company are we selling? Maybe we're selling 50% of the company. Valuation, 15 million. They've brought, so if we're selling 50%, well, they have to give us around $7 million. Okay? You're not going to take the money out. You're going to be diluted pro rata. Okay? So now if you held 40%, you probably are going to hold maybe 20%. But if that money that comes in is going to push you to a $50 million valuation, 20% of 50 million is 10. You get? So you started with 1 million, you're at 50. Now at that point, the thing has grown so much, it's nationally recognized, you can float it on the stock market in Uganda. And then get your money out, and then become an investor and go and pick up other guys along the way. That's the dream. And any company should be able to go there. But it's a very rosy dream. I can think it that way. Yes, I walk around here, I can tell you that, yeah, if I had to redo it, I would probably take it all the way to the stock exchange. But before you get to that point, you're going to contend with like the things I suffered with in Guardian. Like in 2 minutes, I'll tell you. We started with $50,000 in Kabalagala. Quickly grew. We're the first to do 3D branding in pharmacy business. We're the first to design. Yeah, do this. I have always loved to design. So a lot of those pharmacies, I used to design them myself as a pet project. Even this space where you're seated, I designed it myself to kind of kill stress. And some of the furniture, a lot of this furniture. No, this I didn't. A lot of this furniture, I designed it. The staircases and all that stuff. Because, you know, I initially it was to cut cost. I developed a skill, but that's not the story I'm trying to tell you. So we quickly grew. From one pharmacy, we opened one in Kansanga, went to Bunga, went to Bugolobi, went to Kamocha, to Chitintale, Ntinda, and ran out of money. So the thing was, we couldn't easily borrow. I didn't have a complete house. So I walked into this bank that, had seen me start banking with them from the time we opened our first branch in Kabalagala, where we banked 79,200 shillings. In 1 year, we were banking more than 2 billion shillings. In like 2 years, we were banking close to $2 million or something of that sort. That company, that bank refused to give me $20,000 in loans. Because I didn't have a complete. But I had run into regulatory headwinds. National Drug Authority said they're going to stop licensing pharmacies in Kampala and major towns. I quickly needed to blow whatever money I had to buy territory. Okay? You know, you guys have dabbled in pharmacy business. You know, if you want a good location, you're going to at least pay maybe 300, 400 million shillings for an empty shell. Has no medicine, but the person has a location. Imagine you do that in 10 places and you've not borrowed. And unfortunately, I was the board of directors, I was the accountant, I was the human resource manager. I didn't have a board to hold me back or guide me. I didn't even know how building models that inform your expansion looked like. So I went. Guardian Health, you've seen, has the best locations of pharmacies in this country. The reason we got them was because I went out and said, let's go and buy. Suddenly, because I'd used internal money, the only loan we ever took as a company was 70 million shillings from KCB. That's it. The rest was supplier credit and all that stuff. So you get excited and you go and buy and get to like 15 pharmacies. Remember when I told you it's not just money, scaling customer service. When you walk into Java's Kamocha, I want you to pay attention. They serve you your food. The person will wait for you to sit, come to you within a certain stipulated time, bring your food within a certain stipulated time. Once you settle into it, after like 3 minutes, come back. How is the food? That service is replicated across all of them. That's down to training and company culture. You can't easily scale that. Where we started with like 5 people, 4 people in Ghana, where you know everyone's birthday, you know their girlfriend or their wife, you know their children, you can show up anytime. Those days would even fund like 50% of their wedding budgets. You know, these guys believe in the dream, sometimes even more than you. They pick you up in very cruel circumstances. Please come in. Hi.
Hello.
No, there's space. You can park in that open yard there. That is our yard. Very safe. This is one of the safest neighborhoods in Miami. Trust me. Okay. Anyway, yeah. So, sorry about that. We said it's a casual conversation, right?
Yeah, that's very fine.
Yeah. So, where was I? Yeah, you cannot scale customer service. You cannot scale company culture that easily. So then, those days we also didn't have systems, so we relied on trust. You're getting hundreds of millions of supplier money, putting it on shelves. You have no cameras. You have no inventory management systems. You're just trusting the people. So then guys do shop in shops if they help you, or they outrightly steal. So then we find that a pharmacy that used to do maybe 300 million shillings a month cannot even make 30 million in sales. So you can't make payroll. You struggle to pay suppliers. I went to a bank, tried to borrow 500 million shillings. They cleared the loan on Friday. Said on Monday you come and sign the offer letter. That is the time I think the guy was Dutch or something, the head of credit. He pulled out a file that was below his usual threshold. 500 million isn't what he looked at. Guy looks at it. Sadly, I had done a supplier because, you know, the guys who control the wholesale market, they meet on Sundays. They are, some of them are from the Indian subcontinent, the family. It is pretend competition. But on Sunday they meet and talk among each other. So they're like, this man has expanded too fast, but man, these days he delays to pay me. Suddenly your access to working cap in form of medicine gets cut. A guy who would give you like 200 million in credit says, hey, but man, first take 20 and we see how you perform. Last time you delayed. Kumbe, they went behind your back on Sunday and had a discussion while they watched their kids swim. And they're like, this man is probably going down. It's a very small market. It's a small community. So access to working cap ran out. Some guy actually went. Usually the way you secure those lines of credit is you give these guys signed checks, not dated, amount not filled. It's a trust thing after all. Give you 100 million of medicine, give him a check. Guy is one of the biggest distributors in this country. He goes and fills in 9 million shillings without my knowledge. Those days we're living check to check as we look around for financing. So you tell a guy, you know, and those days were fortunate that the check would take 4 days. So if you knew that your supplier banks in DFC, you give him a KCB check. If you knew he banks in KCB, you give him a DFC check. And you give it to him on Friday so that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, you collect the money. Now imagine this guy puts a check on Friday and you don't know you've already given out the other. So he comes in and bounces. Not because you want to cheat him. So he panics, runs to CPS, probably pays a policeman some money. I was in the middle of raising $3 million. I'm burning my last dollar on flights and all that stuff, going to Nairobi, going to God knows what. Try and raise money. Because that bank I've told you about They told me there's an offer letter now, come sign it on Monday. On Monday I show up and they're like, yeah, the head of credit checked your account and you have one unpaid check. So please run your account for the next 6 months before we can come back and give you this offer. Now, the kind of business we were running was, day to day. Couldn't handle, so we had to look for alternative financing. I had the equivalent of, it's a situation I talk about a lot. Imagine you bought a Ferrari. You're driving it to Ginger. You get to Lugazi, it's telling you put fuel. You're like, no, I have some more mileage. And you get in the middle of Mavira Forest, it's midnight, it's out of gas. Guys are coming with their pangas, they're going to kill you and take your Ferrari. The alternative being a guy comes and says, I have 1 million shillings in fuel. Let me put it here and we take 50-50 of this Ferrari. What would you do? I literally had a situation similar to that in Guardian. Those guys came to me, bless their souls. They had no reason to invest the time they invested in my company. But they had seen the numbers a year before or something where they approached me and I refused. Because I was seeing a lot of money going to the bank. I was like, then we expand without planning for that expansion and run out of money and we can't even pay salaries. We can't pay our landlords. But it's because we had a very good relationship with these landlords. They waited. The guy in Kawanagana now became like family. I sold the company, but he occasionally comes here, we sit down, talk about kids, drink some Nile beer, and he goes back. He told me, I will wait for you. Whenever you get money, Tony will pay. We had people like that. Our staff, most of them stayed. Why? Because when we were in good times, we tried as much as possible to treat them well. We'd pay bonuses that were higher than their salaries. Would pay, a guy would come in as a dispenser and he leaves the company as a pharmacist who holds an MPH. Another one comes, they're going to the UK, you fund a bit. Another one comes, they're going to, maybe they just came in as a certificate nurse. You pay up to degree level. You do not even sign anything. Because people pay attention to this kind of stuff. And they buy into the vision. Up to today, you go to them and they're like, you treated us right. But it's also self-interest. I appreciate them as much as, anyway. So Ferrari is stuck in Mavira.
At midnight.
A guy who could have given you, if you bought your Ferrari at 500K, who could have given you $200,000, gives you 1 million shilling and says, this is fuel. He knows that the Ferrari is still in top condition. Then he gets it and hands it to a tractor driver who takes it to the farm. Because in their head they're like, this man doesn't understand business. This is why they ended up in this situation. No. You just had an entrepreneur's mindset. Grow, grow, grow. So, answer to your question, financing, corporate governance. So guys come in, they fix the corporate governance. It works both ways. A lot of these guys with a lot of money enter niche businesses and think because they made money in steel or they made money in exporting gold, they're going to make money in selling pharmaceuticals. And they'll tell you how to run the company. So they hand the company to the tractor driver, takes it to the farm, you fight over that. They have veto power on your board and whatever, you can fire you. You wait for the tractor driver to make a mistake as you continue showing them the ropes. Then get a chance to hire proper people. Got a kid who had just come out of smart raises, very smart kids. I hope we can edit this out. I hope we can edit this out, but I'm not ashamed to say. So we got a young kid who had just worked with us straight out of internship. Actually, I think he was still an intern, pharmacist, 23, comes in, runs the ropes. My job was to make sure when someone has invested in me, return them and protect them from key personnel risk. You're a risk, you. If you died here on the border, what happens to your investment? So you have to find a way of training other younger people. And part of that involves being vulnerable. Go mountaineering with them, let them see you suffer. Go drinking, get drunk, swear, grow a bond with them and see what happens. So we had like 4 or 5 people who are capable of taking over. So when he helped us bring the Ferrari back from the garden and onto the autobahn, and it's been burning gasoline at a very efficient rate and performing miracles. And quickly, Guardian became one of the most valuable companies. But of course, I don't think we overcame our initial fights with the investors. I don't blame any of them. I learned a lot of lessons in corporate governance. Let me tell you something, when you're working with a board, never go to the board for a decision you don't already have. One time, Guardian was the best evaluated bidder to put pharmacies in Mulago, and my board vetoed that move. We were offered the land that has First Pharmacy today by the Nurses Council, and my vote vetoed that move. Can you imagine? We would have built an $100 million company. We pitched in 2016 to the Algaba, the idea of a public-private partnership. We said, we look for financing. We look for financing. We set up pharmacies in Mulago because, I mean, they have a medicine need of like 120 billion, I tell you. They only get like 10% of that budget. So I'm like, okay, if you give us a contract to set up pharmacies here, we shall go and look for like $5 million, set up, and within the first year, you'll get a revenue share of 3 million. Built a model that made sense. Then they went through, advertised, we got we were listed up there, just evaluated, got offered some choice slots. If Mulago had run that thing for like maybe 5 years, now they'll be getting maybe like between $10 to $15 million in revenue share. That can cover all their staff needs. But, you know, human nature took over. The man vetoed the deal even after I think the Solicitor General had cleared the contract, handed it to someone else, and charged them 1.5 million shillings in rent. And that was it. Yeah, wow. You can check the records of Mulago. Even the anti-corruption case is facing. 1.5 million. So then that tells you that there's so many things in the system that can screw you over. But you just have to keep going. So on one hand, my board has vetoed the move, but also on the other, even if we could have salvaged it, the man is now interested in other things. You either put up some front money not to go to the government coffers, you know what I mean? Or he gives it to someone else. And it went like that. So, but anyway, that's life. You come back, you take the pain. It has turned me into a more patient, more understanding human being. And I'm grateful for that. But I can tell you, beyond just money, the emotional toll that entrepreneurship takes on you, you need to pay attention to that. Find people you can talk to. Find your tribe. Find boys you can get together with and laugh at facts or something. Whatever. Just find someone you can be silly with to the point of ridiculousness. Because you need to find an outlet. When I worked with the cancer center, I would work Monday to Monday. You've been to the institute. You guys have been to a more modified institute. Back then, it had two wards, the Lymphoma Treatment Center and STC, where that Fred Hutchison building is. Fred Hutch trained a lot of the oncologists in Uganda. That building was barely the size of this, and it had 200 patients. Can you imagine? Doctor would, so you'd have a bed here, a patient down, a bed there, Jackson would jump. So there were times when I would say go to a corner bed on the children's wing. Kid has leukemia, he looks kind of healthy. You're playing rock, paper, scissors. After every 6 weeks, I would take off time, like a weekend, and drive to the farthest part of Uganda that 2 full tanks would take me with. My books, pen, I still have that habit, and maybe a camera. And just find whatever lodge I would find and sleep there, or tent or something, and just decompress. You come back on Monday and you find that bed is empty. You know what that means? The child is dead.
No, that's not what I wanted to say.
No, these are doctors, they've been there. It was my regular life. It's the life of those guys at the institute. So every day, you will be talking to someone, playing with them. In the evening, you come back, or you come back, or you go to follow up blood somewhere. You go to feed in files or whatever. You come back and they're like, the person you are talking to is gone. Oh, they've covered them, you know. So that became my life. It builds a certain resilience and a certain tolerance for pain that I cannot explain. So while you can say, oh, I'm now stoic, you lose a certain element of humanity where you stop feeling pain to protect yourself. And then entrepreneurship does that also. Sometimes on steroids. Yeah.
Most times on steroids.
So you just have to find a way. We don't talk about mental health enough in entrepreneurship. But someone said that entrepreneurship is like riding a lion. People who are looking at you are like, man, this man is amazing. How did he get up there? While you're telling yourself, how the F did I get here? I mean, how do I survive this thing eating me? When everyone is cheering, you man, you're the best. There are times I would write signed checks for my staff to pay their salaries. You know, you get to like the 28th, you're supposed to pay salary on the 30th. Until we ran into those financial headwinds, we had never missed a debt. So you have to pay on 30th. On it's 28th, you're looking for like say 50 million shillings, you have zero. Somehow, miracles happened all the damn time. That kind of stress. So you make the payment and you don't have money to buy yourself coffee. So that time, you can relate, right? So that time I lived in Bugolobi, in Akamwesi apartments, not hostel. So you would come back home. Everyone is happy, they're going to pay their rent, they're taking their kids to school, they're probably taking their girlfriend out for a movie, and your coffee tin is empty. I have a coffee addiction. Your coffee tin is empty. So you pour hot water in there so you can get the smell of coffee. And then on Monday you go to work and everyone is praising you as the boss. Remember the lion analogy? Yeah, that's it. So who do you talk to about that? Because that's trauma. Sometimes I wake up and I'm like, oh, in a dream, startled. I'm like, oh, like I'm back to the entrepreneurship stress. Have you guys ever woken up from a dream where you have an exam coming up in a subject, say in high school, like physics exam, you're dreaming you have a physics exam, but you've forgotten that stuff. You wake up and your heart is racing and stuff. I still wake up like that. You know, I got fortunate in Washington for grad school. Did a year of you know, HIV, studying infection-related malignancies with people like Corey Casper. I'll never forget that man, even on my deathbed. Then MPH. But then the company was running here. So Seattle is like 10 years, 10 hours. There's a 10-hour time differential. As you go to bed, these guys are waking up. Now you have to talk to someone who is overseeing the company, go over their bankings, go over the supplier thingies, go over all that stuff. So I would literally sleep for 4 hours. That hasn't changed up to today. People who know me know I struggle to sleep. But it's something that was my life for like 4 years. Never changed. And then you come back here to physically run the thing, and it's stressful. Any day you think this is it. This is it. The Baganda say, obala lukedde nga nkoko ya mutamivu. You know, a drunkard who is keeping a chicken, anytime they can come back and they're like, you cut that thing. And in the morning, where's my chicken? But anyway, yeah, it's. I tell you this not to discourage you, because I think that we do not have many formal sector jobs. Our way out is entrepreneurship. You won't believe it, but close to 40% of Ugandans have no interaction with the money economy. They live from the earth, subsistence, and then whatever else they barter trade. It's awful. I mean, I feel fortunate that I get back home here, but I think I should sell this house and try and go back to a bohemian lifestyle. But anyway, it's rough. So, beyond financing, look out for your mental health. Find your poison. Find an outlet. If you don't find an outlet, it will find you. It will be drugs. It will be womanizing. It will be alcoholism. You need something to give you that temporary release, that pocket of happiness that not many people will understand that you need. Sometimes here, I'll be so stressed out by, activism is like contact sport. It's probably worse than business. And I was in the worst business there is. Farmer business is like mafia. Activism is worse, and these are people who we talk about ourselves as people who are human rights activists. But it's nasty, and civil society, extremely nasty. So the times I would come back here and I just want to look at my dog, nothing else. Or I just want to be quiet. I walk in here and I'm like, why isn't the house dark enough? The times I go upstairs, I have a bunch of books and I love to read. I stare at a page for like an hour. And I get out of it and I'm like, oh, I came here at 4. It's 5. Where did the time go? But you need that. It just never stops. So, you try to find outlets, but I've realized, frankly, I don't think I have friends. Because no, I don't know. I genuinely don't think I have like friends, because you want to find that person from your high school days that you used to talk to about anything, the guy who used to write your letters because he had better penmanship, You send them to Nabisunsa, Namgongo, Namagunga, God knows what. That guy who knows you and loves you without pretense. But that guy has also moved on. He has a family. He has his struggles. Now you're going in there. He will come through once in a while and say, man, let's sit down, let's go for a drive or something. But beyond that, there's very little. And because you have this perception of success around you, people go like, he's rich, he's happy, he has a lot of money. I think one day I'll just get up and just give away the cash and say, okay, let me get back into building. It's not a lot. Yeah, there's that. But anyway, I'll tell you a story. When I signed off the company, still, I know it sounds like I've dumped a lot on my investors, but I'll tell you they were amazing in many aspects. Now looking back, they taught me a lot about business, about being a man, about, negotiating, even with someone that you know has a knife at the back. Negotiating with goodwill on both sides. I have a knife in my pocket, but I've come to this negotiation with goodwill. Those movies where you see a guy comes to sell cocaine, the other one has dollars, they also have guns. They are not coming there to shoot each other. It's a goodwill transaction. That's business. It's not personal. That I'm coming to you, I am not your friend. I'm not your husband, I'm not your wife. I am coming here to win. And hopefully when I win, you also win. If I feel dissatisfied, I'm going to shove a knife into you. That's what they do. So you learn to negotiate like that. But what was I getting at? Yeah, when I exited the company, I have a tiny sports car. I really love it. It's an Audi TT. Twin turbo, 3,200 cc. I think it's an 8-cylinder, it's a 12-cylinder engine or something ridiculous like that. In a very tiny thing like a bullet. So after we signed off the company, I had built up so much pain, anxiety, anger, resentment, love, a mix. There's that post-nut clarity that hits you. You're like, so was this it? Really, was this it? Like money in the bank account and the promise of more? That was it? So I came back home, picked up my daughter. I'm glad those days there were no traffic penalty things. Went to the bypass. Very reckless. I hope the mother doesn't watch this. God help me. Lowered the windows and maxed out the speedometer. That car goes to, I think, 320 or 280. I haven't driven it in a while. We played Keith Urban in the stereo, loudest, put the windows down. Greatest feeling I probably ever had as an entrepreneur. She was screaming, very happy. I think part of her thought we were going to spend more time. Then activism happened. Now I think we spend less time together because of the dangers associated with the work. At least with business, those muffs would shoot you, but you know who. It is here you pissed off so many politicians and powerful people that any of them can mess you up. Or it could be someone's husband who thinks you're banging his wife or something. I don't know. Can't be anything. So you don't want to put a child through that. Anyway, that long-winded answer has probably given you an understanding. But it's not all doom and gloom. Find a board, build, don't expand beyond your ability to actually support that expansion. Accept partners, share the load. You see, a lot of people think business success is, I have this shop of mine, I have bought a 50 by 100 in Nigeria, I have a 4-bedroom, I have a second-hand Japanese car, my kids go to Kampala parents, I can rent a 1 million shilling apartment for my side chick in Kira, and that's it. Ochisasi. No chanja. Chanjas. But now, these days, I'll tell you, aspire for more. Accept partnerships, but on your terms. Remember the Ferrari analogy? If you stop in Lugazi and fuel, you're going to get to Ginger and Blast. The best time to sell interests in your company is when it's doing fantastic. Take this to the bank. When you see your company doing this, get partners. If you're bleeding, these guys who have money, the funds that pour money in these companies, they also can hire some of the best analysts in the world. They will have a lawyer for $50,000 just to do due diligence on you and perfect the deal. Same lawyer will go and do another transaction there for $1,000. It's a crazy world. They will fly in auditors from Deloitte. Like we don't have Deloitte here. They will have attorneys from London sitting in, like, when we're doing this transaction, a chief transaction attorney of one of the biggest firms in the world sits on a call and you're like, what's happening? You Google the guy and he does like hundreds of millions in deals. They can afford. They can outlast you. Before you're looking at the clock, you're like, man, if I don't pay this landlord, they're kicking me out. If I don't pay these staff salaries, they're going to embarrass me. Or they are going to walk. If I don't pay this supplier, I don't have business. If I don't pay this dev, they're going to lock me out of the system. You see? So, better raise in your good year when you have enough runway to sustain a negotiation. But please raise. Also, don't be afraid to also do due diligence on your investors. But that luxury will come only when you raise when you're. Yeah.
Oh, that's very interesting. You guys having fun?
Yeah.
You are? I am glad. I'm glad. Thank you so much, Tony. It's surprising that this should be common knowledge for anyone interested in business, but most people are pouring up to hundreds of Uganda shillings when they don't know a percentage of what he has said. And personally, that is the reason I started Mejo. It is, I don't know if I've been given a gift or what, but somehow I'm starting out my career from the back end. The things Tony talked about that pushed him into activism are the reasons I chose a different career even after finishing medical school. It's, I love, because I've been doing a lot of things, my escape also is like traveling. When I was in Western Uganda, I went to some of the poorest places that side. And when you see them, you can't come out and just want to get a big job. Or you literally go. And I love the fact that he has brought out, I love the fact that he has brought out what entrepreneurship is. In Uganda, there is a way entrepreneurship is looked at as if it's a bad thing to make a profit. As if it's a bad thing. Actually, I'm glad we have T-shirts that have the word entrepreneur, and it is spelled out there that you are going out to make a profit. It is spelled out, but most people think making a profit is bad. Making money has this bad thing tied to it. Everyone is actually out there to make money, but out when people are talking, it's like no, I'm just here to do good. I'm here to improve the but people are out to make it. So I hope you guys have gotten that spirit from him. It's one of the reasons he's on our docu-series. It's we need more people to go out there to make a profit and know how to do it right. Uganda has been alive for about less than 60 years, close to 60 years, but we barely have over 5 companies that you can look at and say a Ugandan has built this for 2 decades.
You know, let me tell you, Guardian Health, knock on wood, and I'm cheering for them. I hope someone buys it for $100 million, so people can know that you can build a company, exit it, other guys come, take it to the next level, like that.
Yeah.
When we normalize that, we shall have people, instead of land banking, like a lot of you left campus, put your 10 million shilling savings into land. And let me tell you, a guy buys land, like now, 10 million further away from Kampala, or maybe 20 million further away from Kampala after saving. And then they take maybe 5 years to even get an architecture design for that land. Okay? They get, by the time they, like in 5 years, they have a kid who goes to an international school. That kid is going to the same school as maybe other more successful people's kids, government officials' kids. Their aspirations are like this. Now you also say, oh man, my child, I can't put her in a 2-bedroom house. Your dreams rise. Suddenly you want to build a 500 million shilling house. That's another maybe 5-7 years of work and then borrowing.
30%.
No, mortgages will tell you 18%. But then when you compute, you're paying like 3 times. So anyway. So then, that time you're pushing your 40s when you start building. So it takes you maybe another 3 years to build your dream house. Or 45. Life expectancy is what? So really you have worked for one thing. A house. You die, God forbid, maybe at 55. Your child hasn't learned much. They sell the house to go and start the cycle.
To also buy land which they'll build on.
Go to the US, go to grad school somewhere.
If the bank didn't take the house.
Yeah, if the bank didn't take the house. You know. Do you understand how sad that is? But if we showed that, say the time I raised $3 million, I really, we didn't utilize all that money. We didn't need it. But, you know, at that time, if there were Ugandans who would say, let's come together and put $1.5 million in these things, at a valuation of 4 million. In 3 years, they would walk away with a company that is valued at 15 million. I'm not making this up. That wealth comes here. But of all the money that went into buying that company, only my money has made some of its way back to the Ugandan shores. It's sucked out of the economy to go and pay British pensioners chilling in Florida somewhere. You understand? So we need to normalize investing in our own enterprises. But also it means we need to have to build trust in business. That if he gives me his 5 million shillings, I may delay to return it, but I will not switch off my phone. If things are not going great, I'll still have coffee with him and tell him, man, these are the numbers. If we lose the money, we've lost the money. Open book. If we make money, we make money. Okay? The US, they built these companies because they have so much patient capital. They have these hedge funds that will take 10 shots in the hope of landing one. Now, we may not have that luxury in Uganda. But if you build a proper capital market system that then looks at equity in companies as an asset comparable to land, where people can jump onto the bus and get off at will, then perhaps we'll be able to raise some capital. I want to actually do this experiment. If I go back to build another retail pharmacy chain, I want to go and raise money from Ugandans and say, guys, we want $2 million. And over the next maybe 6 years, we're going to build a $50 million company. How do we do that?
And these guys becoming very good entrepreneurs.
I heard him speak.
But another thing you mentioned earlier, whereby you start and then at every point in time, just like you said, you keep getting investors or people buying in. So, for example, you start with you get it. Maybe this is a group of Ugandans. You raise $2 million. You start with that, but then maybe after like 2 years, probably the $2 million has enabled you to have like 5 branches. After that, now you invite more capital through investment, and now maybe the valuation, you started with 2, now the valuation is maybe 10. At that point you invite, maybe you sell 50%, so that means you cash in $5 million. So now that $5 million now helps you to scale maybe from 5 branches now maybe to 15, like that. So within a few years you end up realizing you have a high number, and therefore the company's value has also skyrocketed. And now after some time, these guys, whoever wants to maybe sell out or something, can easily sell and maybe move out and get their cash and do something else. At the same time, if they are Ugandans, that means they're going to get the money as a Ugandan, and either invest maybe in any other business or any other thing they love, but the money is going to stay in Uganda. It's going to employ Ugandans to benefit Ugandans.
Have you seen what Nigerians are doing with their banking sector? No, like go to Nigeria and you look at bank ownership. It starts like this. You have these conversations and you're like, but you guys. Yeah, a lot of them. I mean, my friend, I spent time with, you guys know Andela and Flutterwave?
Yeah.
The founder, E. He's a dear friend of mine. He's one of the guys who is most generous with his time. So I've stayed in his house in Lagos and just shadowed him. And you sit in meetings where every day a deal is happening in the millions of dollars, and he's facilitating. He knows, there's this young man who is building this company. You're my friend because now we are in the same capital class. We are in the same capitalistic class. Come, let me bridge these gaps. You see, let's build linkages. Money finds ideas. Let's fix this mismatch between capital and ideas that we see in Uganda. Okay, so those guys are very deliberate about that. They don't have these jealousy tantrums that we throw. That how can he be better than me? It's like you're fishing from the same pool of women. So the way you be hating on each other. Man, I'll tell you, we need to open this thing up to private capital. We don't have a lot, but at least let's push our companies to certain value so that by the time we get foreign capital, you can sell some secondaries. So by the time you get to a $5 million valuation, if you still hold like maybe 30% of your company, okay? A guy comes and says, okay, it's $5 million. You want to raise maybe another 5. You can be like, well, instead of you taking 50-50 of the company, I can give you 60. Give me one of that 1 million. You also go and fix my private what? Affairs. So that your kids don't suffer while you also suffer at work. In Uganda we call it okwekubaka enfufu. So, build value, attract capital, sell secondaries, go build a house somewhere, and keep moving. I built this house before I exited Guardian. From secondaries. And maybe some other houses. But it wasn't entirely from secondaries, but majorly. But yeah, major investor comes on board. You have remained with Yoka 30% of the company. You're like, now he has put in 5 million. I have my 30%, meaning company is 10 million. If I sell 10%, I win with 20. $1 million can do a lot of stuff. As you hope that in 4 years or so, you'll walk away with maybe another 5. And then you retire and pay for a Harvard education for your child and whatever. And invest. Donate to schools or orphanages, whatever you want. I think we can build like that. But it sounds so utopian. Because we don't have many people who have done it. But hopefully as we continue these conversations, people will understand it's possible. When I choose to go back, I'm also going to go back and be a startup founder.
My guess is, how do we get from that position where people invest in brick and mortar to betting on dreams? Because I think we have a very wrong mindset as a people. A man at 30 is thinking about buying land. Like, really? Have you given up on your life this early? I mean, because what next? Okay, you're going to buy in a suburb because you can't afford the areas you cherish. Then put up a bungalow because that's what you can afford. Maybe educate your kids in pain, buy a second-hand Japanese ride, and die.
Get a side chick. Don't forget that's important, man.
So, like, have you given up on your life at 30? Is there nothing? Is there nobody? Maybe you're not very good with moving business. Is there nobody you can bet on? Like,
we are in a low trust society. If a few people, after disappointing others, fell on their own swords, Japanese style. Do you understand why Eritreans are buying up Muyenga like a problem? The south side of Kampala is almost owned by them. This neighborhood, if you walk around, there's significant gentrification. If I stay here another year or year and a half, I might be the only indigenous Ugandan here. I can tell you that most sincerely.
Streets up this side, from up to down, there's no Ugandan owner there.
I don't say it as some sort of racist thing or xenophobic thing. I'm actually saying it to praise these people. Work ethic and honesty. So they take money from people, group resources, and pour it in you. You make it work. Take it back so someone else can use it. Muyenga Road, every happening place on Muyenga Road is now owned by our brothers and sisters from the Horn of
most of the bars around Kampala, be it Bandari, be it Kololo,
There's one they are putting on Bandari. My God, I'm quitting alcohol, so but I'll go there. Just
Okay, so I have many questions, but I think I'll start with two. I think the average age in this room is maybe 20. Okay, below 30, like between 27 and 30, or between 28 and 30. I don't know if I've represented everyone well. But what would you tell your between 27 and 30-year-old self, given everything that you know now? I know you're already telling us a lot of those things, but where you were at that point in time, and what you were doing, and the mistakes that you made, and the glories that you won, what would you say? The second question is, entrepreneurship has 28-hour days, 10-day weeks, 400-day years, and yeah, it doesn't
put a
stop.
bow on it.
Yeah, how you've talked about your family, your daughter. How did you fit them
My
all
family still
into?
suffers to this day.
How did you fit them all into that dynamic?
I
And-
didn't.
Oh,
I have so much regret on the family front. But sometimes it's oh man. Yeah, I could have been more present.
do you think it's possible to strike a balance and still achieve as much as you did?
That's a privilege. Frankly, I think. I come from a teacher's household. A Cambridge guy, excellent teacher. Had like maybe 28 of us. Best thing is educators. That's a gift he gave us. He didn't bequeath business knowledge or money. So everything you learn by doing and failing. If one wants UG or wine, we have, anyway. I'm trying to distract from that question because it's heavy. You can read it. But I promised this man, that David, that I wouldn't BS you. Because I consider this a duty to the next guy. So I could have been more present. But I've always looked at work as an opportunity not only to improve my station in life, but to improve the lives of other people. Like we have kids in Namilyango College counting on us. We have people back home counting on us. We have, So you try to give it your all. There's a lady who raised me, my grandmother. She died at 100. Fell and collapsed. Fell in the bathroom, hit her head, I believe, and died. 2008. I don't even want to remember the year. I was working at Cancer Institute, those Monday to Monday shifts. I'd promised to go see her. And I'd promised to go see her. Who wants UG coconut? It's there in the boat. Hi. We didn't meet, so sad. No, I'll greet you. Hi. How are you? Tony. Nice to meet you too. Why is it podcast about business and stuff like that? I had promised to go see her one weekend. And somehow I was like, let me just bang another week and then go see her the next week. In the middle of that week, they called me and says, Granny fell in the bathroom and died. It's the saddest day of my life. Up to today, I'm like, if I hadn't stayed at work that day, maybe I would have occupied her time, meaning the subsequent days of that week would have turned out differently. You never, it's coming to like 20 years since she died, but I have never forgiven myself. So, it's a kind of pain that never goes away, and oftentimes this person might even have died earlier, heart attack or something. But you know, that thought is always at the back of your mind. I've screwed up many relationships. In ways that were very avoidable. Now I think I have a bit of stability. But you know, you look back and I forgot to build strong relationships and friendships, which is why I'm telling you that it's important that you are purposeful about doing that, so that when you get to your 40s and like I am, your 50s, you don't feel shy about calling a married friend to just, you know, like, man, Ben is one of my closest friends, but I haven't seen him in like maybe a year now. If I have to list my maybe 3 closest friends, Ben will be there. We haven't spoken in months, but I know it's like you have those friendships, like books that you stick on a shelf and just occasionally check on and dust off and then put back. So I wish I'd done more to build this, and I hope that at least you learn from that. So you don't come back here and you're playing this game by yourself. Yeah, like you're playing this side, then you play the other side. Like, it sucks, but it, you know, like say if yeah, it sucks. What was your other question?
Okay, now I've changed. I wanted to ask you.
You can ask me. I fought through that. Yay, but I made it.
Thank you for your honesty. What books did you read that really shaped how you think about entrepreneurship, how to approach negotiations, how to grow your business, how to handle people? I don't know if you can make any
And the band
recommendations.
played on. No. And the band played on.
That's the title of the book.
Yeah, Randy Shields. That book, it's not a business book. It's a book about the HIV scourge in the 80s and 90s and how systems failed and it cost people's lives. So my approach to business building is in identifying weaknesses in systems and making them better.
My card, what broken system or unmet need are you in a position to
I am going to answer that. Yeah, so, but my favorite business book is Shoe Dog by the guy of Nike. I haven't built a Nike. Maybe one day I will, or my daughter will, or my son, or whatever will. But at a smaller scale, everything that man wrote in that book, or his ghostwriter wrote, spoke to me to the core. I can recite that book probably. There are some chapters I can recite offhand. It's my favorite book. It's usually by my bedside. Not because I have to keep repeatedly reading it, but because I wish I had read that book before I started any company. It's really incredible. Then the other book is a book on mental health by a guy called Professor Gabor Met. Gabor. It's called In the Realm of Hungry Ghosts. Humble brag, he signed it for me when I was at the University of Washington. I still have that copy that I never gave out. I got so many signed books. I also got a signed copy of Hillary Clinton's book that I gave to my ex, and she lent out, and the guy she lent it to never returned it.
The guy, she lent it to a guy.
A friend of hers. I was pained when I thought Hillary Clinton was going to become president. I was like, no, look at, but still up to today, I am a huge admirer of that lady. So I was like, ah. But anyway, that book and the band played on, it's thick like this. But it's an incredible book about system failures and how people can almost willfully conspire to kill people. Yeah. Those are my three favorite books, perhaps, plus another book on the Renzoris that my business partner in Rustic Expeditions bought for me. God bless Sarah. That book is just my favorite part in the world. Probably one of the most beautiful places on God's earth is in the Renzoris. The book, one day, you guys, come we go mountaineering. That book just describes those mountains in their glory. Like, you know, glaciers have disappeared now, but it can trace these glaciers. So if you're interested in studying glaciology or climate change and the impact on mountain landscapes, or the interplay between mountaineering and climate change, look at socioeconomic factors affecting people in downslope in mountain areas, how climate change is messing them up, trying to understand, say, glacial outburst floods, trying to understand things like River Mobuku bursting its banks every year and nothing gets done. People die every year, almost like a clockwork. Same thing we have in Bugis, where I come from, in Bududa, where, you know, there are going to be landslides, but people will come back. So, you know, understanding why those things happen, and then someone gets you a foundational book on these mountains. It's, I cried happy tears. It's, I still hold it like this, like I'm holding gold. Is this mine? It's like, it's a collector's item. I can give you 20 million shillings and tell you, go and look for this book over the next 1 month, and you'll not find it. It's those books that you'll find in discarded books from university libraries in a street somewhere in Germany or somewhere in the UK. A yard sale somewhere, and the guy says, hey. So I have one copy. There's 2 in the region, I think.
Awesome. Yeah, guys, if you want to climb the Renzoris,
So,
going soon.
so my interests are like, yeah, diverse. So keep that other question. I'll answer it. I have an interesting story.
Okay. So I just want to pick your mind on specialty pharmacy business. Not many people are doing it, and I am interested. I'm Hillary. I'm a pharmacist, and I want to try it. I think I've only seen Uncle Farm.
I helped my friend.
Yeah, I had rumors that you did.
Modding,
I had
but
a
man, they
rumor.
have a guy called Nelson. He's solid. He can teach you a lot.
Yes.
We have fought quite a bit, but I like him a lot.
Yeah. So, your experience in farmer business in Uganda, what are your thoughts? Can a very low budget young entrepreneur make it through that line?
Yeah, we'll talk offline.
Okay.
There's some ideas. If I have to build another chain, I want to go the specialty route in some aspects. I think there's a lot of money to be made. There's a lot of money to be made, and we've been discussing with my friend Davis Musinguzi of Rocket Health. I'm thinking of doing specialty pharmacies in certain market segments. Even something like nutraceuticals.
Yes.
Middle class and upper middle class Ugandans are now embracing supplements. The best place to get those should be in pharmacies. But it's finding a consistent supply is just touch and go. So why don't you just build a vitamin shop and just open it up online and just go hard and find anything and everything. We'll talk. I'm happy to discuss this. Even partner, actually, because my problem is I just don't have time to build. But I really want to build something that is beyond just walk in here and buy meds. I think Guardian does it really perfectly, and I want them to succeed. But there's gaps that now my non-compete ended like maybe a year and a half ago. I've just been lazy. But if I can get young people like you to partner with, I would happily run it back. There's specialty pharmacies that can work. And let me give you an example. If you said, even you can extend that issue to manufacturing. If you said, I want to manufacture metformin, do you know how many diabetics are on that drug? Do you know how long you're going to have them? So now, conservative estimates, anywhere from 500,000 to 700,000 people are on metformin. Okay? Manufacturing a pack of that at scale is probably going to cost maybe $1 and a half. Okay? So they buy a pack of 100 for like $4. So the cost of manufacturing a shipment and whatever, everything, yote, like $1.5. If you say, I'm going to sell this thing for $2 in the market, or $2.5, and I have 700,000 diabetics, every month I am expecting $1.5. It's a generic. That's a $10 million drug a year in Uganda alone. If you utilize the East African bloc, where soon you'll have like maybe 600 million people. You've expanded your market. Eastern Congo is certainly yours. South Sudan is yours. A lot of Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi. A lot of those countries don't manufacture at least 85% of their medicine. So if you picked up those molecules, you can build a behemoth. And obviously count on government to be able to put market protection measures. But yeah, the specialty angle is amazing. There's even more bankable ideas in that space. But I'm not being paid to give people business ideas. No, not here, online. For you, I can give them to you in person because you're physically here. But yeah. Yeah, specialty farmers is solid.
Yeah, so talking about ideas and dreams and everything. So, okay, I've been thinking, I don't know, lately about ideas and
Yeah, I
dreams.
see you do a lot of thinking. You should start doing.
Yeah. I know that's one of my weaknesses. I do a lot of thinking, but the doing part. But sometimes I ask myself, like, where do ideas come from? Like, where do dreams come from? Like, why do we have the dream we have? Why do everyone wants to have a plot of land and have a house and sometimes I ask myself, is it possible for someone to dream about something that they have never been exposed to? And if they do that, is it still dreaming or hallucination, or there could be a thin line in between? So, I want to ask, where do you get? Okay, me personally, one thing I experience whenever I go to a new place and it gets exposed, not even very far sometimes, because I had 2 leaves this year. The first leave I went to Rwanda, at Kigali, and when I go there, I like to just walk around the streets. Go to the parts, where the Mwanainchis are, they are fixing cars, fixing blah, 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 and I go to the towns where you rub shoulders with the tourists and all that, and something to look at the details. And my second leave, I went to Kenya. Okay, one of my friends dragged me to Kenya. I went to Nairobi and Mombasa. But I realized through that exposure, every time you come back with new ideas, you get a lot of exposures. So I thought maybe, okay, to me, having more exposures is what kind of inspires me and give me more ideas. And even through this exposure, like these talks we have, through some of the books, yeah, that's to me, and I wonder, finding ideas, but where do ideas come from?
Ideas come from at least the way I see it, being exposed to different environments just gets your brain to think about ways you can improve your own station, like back home. So if you can afford, please travel, talk to people. You're in a country, this Uganda, where pretty much anything you do and try to do perfectly is going to make you money. But that perfection comes from discipline. I have a couple, one of my favorite couples, Alex and Hadija. You guys have seen Alex Ponton on Twitter. They live just there with their son Zabu and new daughter. They're building what I think is going to be the best furniture base in East Africa.
I'm going to
I'm going to give you the floor. You can speak. We have young people here. I'll just take it closer. Okay. Hi, Emma. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you well there.
I think I'll just keep quiet and then I will give you the 15 minutes to speak and then, yeah.
All right. Put the camera a little down so I can see some people's faces. Yeah, there. Okay, I'm not seeing anyone. The screen is dark. So I don't know if you can see me or you can hear me. I cannot see anyone. Can you give me a sign that you can hear me?
Yes, very well. Let me try to get you
Okay.
more faces.
You literally, the camera was off, so I didn't know. All right, now I can see like 4 faces. That is fine. If can you put up your hand if you can hear me well? Okay, perfect. So I'm going to talk, and if you can't hear me, put up your hand again. But I'm going to talk. You can hear me, so let me assume you're hearing me. If you can't hear me as I'm talking, just put up your hand, then I'll know. All right. Unfortunately, I did not hear much what David was talking in the introduction. So I was kind of blindsided from what yesterday we planned for me to talk. Let me just go on and say what we had planned for me to talk. My name, as you've seen my books there, my name is Emmanuel Chirunda, and I've authored those 2 books, The Fourth Heritage and Beyond the Fourth Heritage, as my personal passion project to explain how I changed my mind over a couple years and how people from Africa, tropical Africa like me, who are interested in changing their mindsets, how they can get some techniques and strategies on how. As I was a Christian, I did not care whether you're yellow, black, or white. As I was a Christian, I did not care whether you're yellow, black, or white. I thought that's the only thing. But also, I had my tribal thing, which no one even understood. So, anyway, long story short, I broke down in terms of who I was. But reading the book by Ali Mazrui called The Africans, A Triple Heritage, is what saved me to find a bearing in terms of whom I am as an African in this world. Not in America, not in Uganda, but basically in the world. That book, The Africans, A Triple Heritage, where Ali Mazrui talks about our triple heritages of tribe, religion, and colonial influence, was an epiphany for me. It connected everything about who I am. And I realized, you know what, the most important thing is that I am my tribe. I am this colonial religion and I am this colonial education or civilization. But the most important thing is that now I am mature, I've seen the world, and I can forge my way forward. So that's how the idea of the fourth heritage was born. I realized that there are original ways I'm looking at my tribe, my religion, and colonialism in a way that works for me, that does not leave me as a passive person in American society or even home, but rather as someone with agency. There is a way I can put my stamp on these 3 things that are inherited. So I wrote that framework, the fourth heritage, and in a nutshell, it's my way to show anyone who is struggling with identity from those forces on how you can pick what is good within those three things and how you can disregard what is bad, because each of those things have negative forces. And when you can do that unapologetically, you come off on the other side very you are, which is very important. And in my view, on the path to winning as far as being successful in what you're doing. And once I managed to heal that identity crisis thing, I became so confident about who I am. I was not angry about American society or history, but rather I knew that I am an active agent of who. So I've been working in this as a startup called 5 years. We are creating some software to help big companies in the electricity sector and clean energy sector make fast, prudent decisions about how to include my small talk. The fact is, I keep telling people, people are very interested in who you are, who I am, and all that stuff, which means identity. And everyone thinks that identity is a static thing. Who are you? I'm a Muganda. Who are you? I'm a Christian. They think by asking that and knowing that aspect about you, then they know you. But deep down, I think identity is as deep as your mind, your conscious allows you to go deep. And my identity is, given what I've inherited, I can look at all those and pick what is good. And the good is what can propel me to be a civil engineer, to be a project manager, to be a startup person. And so who I am is what I'm doing and what I'm going to do. And if you want to look at the history and you think you know me, then you will miss a lot, because I am defining myself. I'm defining the future, and it's exciting. It's exciting. Always on the cutting edge of thinking, being alive, learning, searching, and I'm still growing. I think the growth since the fourth heritage, the growth is exponentially fast. But if I can tell you, whether you read the books or not, the bottom line is we each have the opportunity to search and find the knowledge that works for us, but very few have that inclination to search or the courage to do the hard steps of change. And so most people don't change, or they don't even try to change. But those two books and my life as an entrepreneur now is all about, I have the energy and I have the courage and the wanting, the liking to change, to make myself succeed, to make myself better. And it's exciting because you're always living on the edge of what is possible. And that is all I had. I'm not seeing anyone anymore, but
Hi. Oh,
okay.
this video is still on. You can't see?
Okay, now I can see you. Okay, now I can see you. Just come back. All right, so
I
that's
don't know
my
if
2
anyone
cents.
has a pardon?
That is my 2 cents. Thank you for listening to me.
Awesome. I don't know if any of you has a question for Emma. You do? Okay. I need just be louder. books you've read as a startup founder that you recommend for her to read? Yeah, that's a question. Yes. What we shall hopefully get to meet you someday. Yeah. Great. Thanks, Dan. Okay, great. So, thank you guys for that. Oh, let me just show you guys the books you are saying. This is the book that he wrote first. I did get soft cover. I'm going to tell you the prices there on WhatsApp, but they're all around like 30, 40. Then this is the one he talked about. That's the one he says people like the most. Personally, I read this one like 3 times. I like it. Very soft and hardcover. And then he wrote a Ugandan version for that big one. It's like 15K now, but it's a watered down version of this. So they're all here. And we of Mejo, we made this. So we're trying to build this thing, but we don't want it to be like a charity where we beg for money to make this happen. I think you guys are seeing what a conversation with Nattif can do in terms of just thinking and doing. So I personally think this is valuable and want to extend it to more people. So all the money that has gone into doing this work comes from the team and me and some benefactors, but we have started selling cool stuff. There's a bag here. It's beautiful, and it can carry a lot of stuff. So you can buy it for yourself or for a loved one and support the work that Mejo is doing. And then there are shirts. Hillary can tell us the prices, but we're going to take a group photograph. Yeah, create the future. That is what we are looking at. And
This is shot number 1.
we believe that
A little souvenir on the back.
if you want, she can sign. How much are the t-shirts?
Everything is specified. The totes and the t-shirts. This stylish, right? Net branded. And then because it's a health entrepreneurship series, we have something like this, and also in white.
Yeah, so we have that. I hope you guys are enjoying and learning, and I hope if there's anything you leave with today, it is how to build a company that can exit. Ian, Clark, and Tony are one of the few Ugandans that have exited companies, and you guys met Ian Clark last time. We chose them specifically. They're not average businessmen. I'm sure you've heard of big businessmen, but few people have exited companies in the millions. So we're going to take a photograph. We still have our Polaroid camera. You can take a souvenir from today. So let's go and take that picture. Then we'll come back and finish the conversation here. Then go up for the. He has set up. Great.
No
Leave
problem.
one on your fridge.
No problem.
Then we come back, finish here, then go up.
Okay.
Should we take from outside, from inside? What looks better? Wow, this is beautiful. You are celebrating. should we set up to take the
I don't know
pictures?
anything about business.
Yeah, man, you must give me some of that money that's burdening you. I also want to give it away when you start burdening you.
Okay, I think we move the chairs.
Yeah, but
a
it
little
was,
bit, then
the
we
talk
start.
was nice. Well, kati eyo n'okwogera mu ova politics oba nganze naye nga just doing sentences. Basket yamubaddeko. There are no fruits there. There are no fruits. But you better still need to fix. Yeah, but okay, I don't think that's the way by politics. We have to get rid of politics entirely. That is for me my approach.
Okay. Guys, let's come here. Who has Tony's phone? I think it has this camera.
Here.
Should I take a picture?
Lights was a red GG.
iPhone atera okukola ki planning a light yayo bulungi.
Yes.
Same thing. So maybe some of you guys need to understand.
The other side is awkward.
So that the drink should be let me but clearing our men's of one.
Simbizi kumas. Message one and no, don't publish. Come on.
Yeah, well, this is good. Number of okay, create the photo. Or either this. Just on the side. What do I want? Nice.
Mejo, 1, 2, 3. Mejo.
Polaroid.
Polaroid, yeah.
Polaroid, I don't know, so.
The button is in front there.
This one?
Yes, that's the button.
Okay, so how do I see what I'm
The lens is closed.
The lens is closed?
Press to open.
This?
The next one will take.
Okay. How do I know that second?
Yeah, it's supposed to check. Maybe first come and see. Maybe analog.
They know digital things.
Okay. No, vertical. Z-tower. Cartridge mail. see any light in front there? Not sure why it's not working. Probably the battery. Hold up. Okay, I got this.
I was pressing the wrong button.
What does the wrong button do?
Hold up.
Well, don't you want to be in the picture? I can't check now since you're not.
Okay.
Which one is the button? Ah, okay. This is okay. Yampa dark at work.
Great. Actually, I want to take one of you with the poster. That's the one we shall leave you with.
We'll take the poster outside.
I think inside is looking a lot better. Take one.
Which one I want? No, you don't have to take it like that. Okay, you go. Do you want to join? Great, thank you. I think we do the last part of our conversation. There are a few questions, then we go up. Yeah. Great.
Gideon.
It was, I think it was Conrad's question going up.
So, yeah, my question to you, Tony, was about rustic expeditions. I realize I'm a person who loves to travel, but I've been unfortunate in leaving the country. But I love traveling around Uganda whenever I get an opportunity to do so. And I know you didn't. You just mentioned it slightly, as if it's something small that you've built. Now, in addition to
We are building.
okay, in addition to that, in terms of building, I know you've built so many things. What do you think someone young out there would have to look out for in terms of starting to build up things or build up a team or things? Because sometimes people are a bit scared of how to start in terms of you have an idea, you have probably you're just copying something from someone, but the actual building, someone doesn't really tell you how much goes into that. Yes, so it's just two things connected.
By now, my answer to that man's question, you know that a lot goes into building. The detail. Oftentimes it's easy to tell the rosy part of the process, but I prefer to tell you the process in all its depressing glory. Having an idea and translating that idea to a bankable business that you can build to survive you is a lifetime's work. It really is. Once you find a perfect company and build it, if you're going to build it successfully, that work will define your life. So when you're approaching entrepreneurship, you need to understand that I am possibly not going to get another chance to do something impactful. Yes, they will tell you businesses fail and fail and fail and fail. But if you've chanced on something that works, build it like your life depends on it, because really it does oftentimes. Or even beyond your life, if you're solving a serious problem like a healthcare problem. There's a question someone wanted to ask me, was it? When I worked with the Cancer Institute, no, before I got there actually, there were kids who were in a very highly paid for HIV treatment program, where, I don't know how many doctors we have here, but HIV programs from the past, they funded everything. If you got cancer, they bought for you the medicine. The only thing they didn't do was actually treat you. So they would send you to the Cancer Institute, Jackson sees you after weeks of waiting, and then they say, okay, we're going to buy the medicines, whatever the cost. Now imagine this guy, some people would wait months to actually see him. You see him, he gives you a diagnosis, someone is willing to pay for the medicine, but you can't find it. Do you know how awful that is? So then you realize that there's a problem of access. So if your job, and someone was asking about specialty pharma, if your job is to find those rare molecules, there's purpose to it. It's not just about, I need to make money, I just happen to be slinging pills. You understand? It's more than that, because access is a problem. Up to today, I get friends who have walked through pharmacies in Uganda and have failed to get a product. And I have to call colleagues in Kenya after I've sent them to Guardian and whatever, and they can't find them. Call colleagues in Kenya, South Africa, where? Malta. We need the drug. So there's that gap. Now, once you find that thing that is at the sweet spot between solving a societal need at scale and actually paying you, so it's worthwhile. Because eventually, if your entire existence is to make money for making money's sake, you're not going to power through the emotional toil that comes with the process of making that money. You go like, yeah, mfachi. But if there's a bigger value you attach to your work, I think it's Martin Luther King who said, if you're going to sweep streets like Michelangelo painted. Sweep streets like, I think Beethoven composed music or something like that. Like whatever you do, do it to the best of your ability, and then money will come. Once you perfect the art, he said that once you perfect the art, and I paraphrase, people will trek, they'll find an unbeaten path to you wherever you are, even if you're in the mountain and you're the best at doing something. They'll come, and the money will come. If we were to quote the finance minister. Perfect the art. If your art is to deliver medicine, perfect the art of delivering that medicines, and colleagues, money will come. Yeah. So I don't know if that answers your question, but really it's differentiating yourself from whatever. Like, I don't think Java's has the best food. But they perfected the art of delivering that food, from the look and feel of the place where you get that food from to how people treat you. It's an experience. That guy, Salt Bay, he sells steaks. He would sell steaks of like $1,000, $5,000, God knows what, ridiculous amounts. It's like you're paying for an entire cow shipped from Ankole to Turkey or Argentina or whatever. But he somehow puts a certain spin to steak and prices through the roof. So it's about perfecting what you do and doing it really better than the competition, and not resting on your laurels, because people are always innovating. And in Uganda, really, people don't have to innovate much. They just copy. And then they drown you in stolen money. And you're done. Yeah. Uh-huh.
I don't know if it's a question, but at what point do you think, because you build,
Yes.
and most times when you build, you get attached. This is your baby. This is your life's
I don't know how
work.
many people have asked me that question, but yeah, go for it.
This is your life's work. This is your baby. I mean, I do some bit of that work, and I could give up everything for what I do, because you've put in the sleepless nights. You cannot judge it to someone. They can never get it, because you know the pain, you know the sweat, you know the passion. And then, so
then you have to go.
At some point, you cannot be separated from the product.
You actually can, and it's important that you are from the get-go. But I'm going to answer. Just keep going.
And then here you are onboarding. Sometimes people you're not sure even identify with.
You
your
don't
dream.
even like. The hope is. That's why I said, do due diligence on your investor.
But look, you need them, because if you want to move to the next step, sometimes you need them. You cannot build organic. The whole thing.
It's hard, yeah.
But then you're not even sure. Sometimes they are going to bring in confusion. Is it blue-black? You build, and then at some point you're like, you know what? I did my life's path. Take over, guys. If you're going to throw it in the mud, it's up to you.
No, I don't feel that way about
Or do you become a part of a whole? And I know that most of the people who have done that, especially here, I don't know why, have gotten frustrated. People come on board with different ambitions.
Sometimes all they want to do is make money.
Sometimes niggas, yeah, they're just trading you. They've seen your goal is valid, and they come and play the numbers games, and then they throw you out, and you know what I'm talking about. So at what point,
I've seen it, yeah.
and how do you do that? How do you know that now? Because I mean, even a simple partnership, even onboarding colleagues, they give you a headache. You're like, you know what? Why doesn't this nigga just get out? So I don't know if you're getting my question, but yeah, that's what I'm asking.
I understand that question. You remember the Ferrari analogy? I got these people, they could fire me from the company anytime. They will make missteps that even result in loss of money, and you will struggle to hold them accountable. because power, and because they are getting this money from bigger funds, and these funds are limited liability partners. These are general partners. You don't even know whose money it is, whose money is invested in your business. The levels of accountability only swing in your direction. Trying to hold them accountable, like I said, is going to cost you maybe £100,000. Even if you're running a multi-million-dollar business, you might not have that money on hand just to throw into a litigation. So you want to make sure from the get-go that, and hopefully with time our legal structures can work well enough that people don't have to go offshore to be able to solve business battles. And they're always there. They're not personal. They're just business. Remember that thing I told you about cocaine sellers coming with suitcases? One has a suitcase of cash, the other has a suitcase of cocaine, and each one has a gun. They're not coming to shoot each other. They're coming to do business. So it's how it works. Make sure you secure your interest through the contract. Make sure you sell that company when it's high so that you have some sort of leverage in the negotiations on control. You need to ask yourself why say someone like Jeff Bezos, when he was separating from his wife, divorcing, sorry, I mean, he was happy to give away the money but not the voting rights. Because then they can just kick you out of something you built, and it happens a lot. You've seen these heat jobs that have been happening on my brother Davis. A lot of that comes from that. It's the nature of the beast. But also we need, as founders here, local founders, to find a way of protecting ourselves in such negotiations. It's hard because the balance is usually in favor of the guy with the money, and we are desperate, and when the alternative sources of capital are banks, we're screwed. But the deeper question is on how do you detach from a company that you've given so much to. Like, I'll never stop being an ambassador of Guardian Health. I mean, even if they rebranded tomorrow, there's that common strand that will always, have me attached to it. It's like when your child grows and gets married and moves on, they don't stop being your child. You don't stop recognizing that they slept in that bed, they slept in that room, they broke their tooth here, they did what. Those are memories that you celebrate, but also move on with your life. A company has a life of its own. So if you're going to get your joy from knowing that I own this company in perpetuity, you're living a miserable life. Get into mountaineering, try to run a bit, cycle, fall in love, do something. The whole point of the company is you're solving a problem. So if I get up today and we work in a market where, by some reports, 30% of medicines are counterfeit. So if I build a company that perfects the supply chain back to front, and I can assure people that every product that you get from, say, my company, maybe Guardian or Providence or whatever, every medicine you get from here is good quality, it's competitively priced, it's given to you by someone who went to school, a professional who is well remunerated. The taxes are paid into the coffers of your country. You have done your service. Now, I studied public health. I was pretty decent. I could have decided to get into to go the route of a PhD and get, become maybe a professor somewhere, get married, white picket fence, 2 dogs, a happy life, and publish articles, fly to air-conditioned halls all over the world, and be celebrated as a professor from Bunangabo in Bugisu. Probably have a street somewhere in Manafa named after me for publishing papers and talking about how terrible healthcare is, how in Uganda is, how, Like, oh, the quality of medicines in Uganda, man, cancer medicines, oh my goodness. The cost of treating cancer is 10 times the cost in the West and 10 times the average income of these people. How can they afford? Or I can choose to use public health, bring it to business, solve the problem. When I sit here and say, oh, this company that we started, or I started in 2012 November, it reaches now 2 million people a year. That's public health at scale. It has, maybe it started with 4 people. It now has maybe, let me say, 500 people. Every one of those has maybe 1 or 2 people they support in their lives. It has the potential to go to 1,000 employees or something. It's like network marketing. Your chain of influence, the people's lives you've touched, just keep growing. Someone is going to be able to afford the rent. Someone is going to be able to afford medicine for their father, for their child, and education for their child. Count the wins that are outside your immediate gratification. And walking into a bar, like, I'm the big dog here, I own all that stuff. No. I think find something that can give you that gratification that's beyond just money. Ultimately, companies, remember this, have a life of their own. Build them with the view of leaving them. To continue meeting their needs, meeting their duty to society. And then go and start other things. Go and mentor, go and hunt. Something, for crying out loud. Don't start another thing. Like, it gets boring. There's wartime CEOs, peacetime CEOs. The guy who starts a company, now, I cannot run Guardian Health as well as Cedric does. It's not even possible. He's largely a peacetime CEO. And he's very good at it. I was the firefighter. I did my part. So my job was to make sure these kids retire me. And for me, I take so much joy from that, from seeing them excelling. Do you understand? I mean that most sincerely. And I think you need to, you have to, as an entrepreneur, you have to find a way of divorcing yourself from your company. That's the ultimate win. Like when Gates, how much of Microsoft do you think he owns? Probably less than 2%, which is a lot of money. But he's been able to leave. Guys come in, even people he hired, like the Steve Ballmers of this world, hold more stock than he does. But he's gone on and started this Gates Foundation and Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and he's doing incredible work in the world. Do you think he's losing sleep because he's no longer driving to Redmond to, sit in his C-suite and look at the water? I don't think so. He will count how many kids they've vaccinated, how many lives they've saved, how many kids they've educated, how much they've rolled back world hunger, how successful they've been at pushing back against polio and all these vaccine-amenable diseases. Heck, if you probably talk to him, he might say his most meaningful work is away from Microsoft. Do you understand? So we tend to define life through such a narrow prism. But now I look back and I'm like, maybe my most meaningful work so far is, even up to today, if I do this activism thing with the same wins that we got last year and part of this year, I do it another 3 years, I can look you dead in the eye and say my most meaningful work has been with Public Square. But it's work that doesn't put money in my pockets. Actually, it empties them. And it gives me sleepless nights. But can you put a price to say what you get from seeing that Mbarara lady get justice? Can you put a price to say these kids in Chitezi, there's work we did, I think religious zealots were raping 7 to 8 year olds in Chitezi, defiling them brutally, then killing them. And you saw the story. Yeah, that was our work. For like 3 years, no one had been arrested. These killings were continuing. They had intensified. We brought out that story, told it in a way that just shocked the country. Police was shocked into action. People were arrested. No more reports of a kidnap, a rape, or a killing in that village. Can you price that? So then, the benefit might not directly accrue to you financially, but then you get a lot of pleasure from having impacted someone's life in a certain way. And I frankly think that's good. It's why we do what we do. Despite what people say, don't pay attention to that hogwash. I don't have the most money around here. There's decrepit politicians there looking sluggish, but they're sleeping on millions of dollars. But they're getting up to go and steal some more. It's such a miserable life. Like, guys, that I need another 5 Land Cruisers? Then what? So I can drive past kids who are begging me, and I put my window up, leave only enough space to pass 2,000 shillings? Is that it? I don't think so. I genuinely don't think so. I think you should make money and find causes that you believe in and support them, blow the money, go back, make some more, find other causes. Yeah. The process of making money is actually, it keeps you alive. Like it really keeps you alive. Find a challenge. Let it kill you. Yeah. I hope I've answered your question, but don't get attached to companies. Companies will always belong to you. Your kids will never apply for a new parent. No one else will ever move to URSB and say, I registered Guardian Health first. I built it first, outside you. The people, the millions of people who have bought medicines and become fine, will celebrate you. Up to today, I'll be on X, and the guy will be like, man, I remember when my mother was dying. We looked for this drug in Uganda, Kenya, wherever, and failed to find it. And you found it in 2 days. They don't remember how much they paid for it. I don't even remember them. But people never forget a good turn. And maybe my son, my daughter, my kids down the road will harvest that karma. Good karma, this is. Yeah. It's about purpose. Why do you do it? Get the latest Land Cruiser. It gets tiresome. I've not told you this story, but friends I was in pharmacy school with will tell you. In my younger days, I used to get a new car every the time it took to import another car from Japan. Yeah. Now I can't stand cars. Hey, that phase is past. So if you're building businesses to buy the latest car, then where's the motivation going to come from me? The only car I'm probably dreaming about is some rugged thing, maybe a Jeep Wrangler and a Mercedes van camper with a bedroom in there so I can drive around Africa and run marathons in every capital city. That's it, and live like a bohemian. That's it. And actually, that's on my bucket list. Buy a rugged Jeep Wrangler, fit it out nicely, and buy a camper. Those Sprinter, those huge Mercedes, and just drive around. That's it. I think I should sell this house and do that. Same thing. Dig into savings.
Awesome. This has been a good first half.
Yes. Yes, no, you can't ask.
Okay, I just want to read these guys.
No, this man, he just...
You can read the streaming where, okay?
Yeah, so there's just something you mentioned earlier on when you talked about the sharks when you're trying to get big, something like that.
Yeah.
That at first they will see you and be like, this one is still there, tomoreke. Then when you reach a certain maybe level, they start to come for you. So I just
For no
want to-
fault of your own,
Exactly.
just
So
by
I wanted to
existing.
just know if you had such an experience and how you dealt with it. And then the second thing I wanted to ask you, because I mean medical supplies and equipment, but I know pharma and medical supplies are so linked because we are all in a business which has a lot of Asians. Like especially in our Uganda and East African setting, there are a lot of Asians. I just wanted to know, how did you deal with that? Because I feel like a Ugandan to go big in a business that is dominated by Asians, I don't think it's easy, at least from my experience.
It's hard, and actually the most vicious people in that business are not the Asians. They are fellow Ugandans. They're the ones that will want to shoot you. They're the ones that will stop you setting up next to them. I have a building next to Frieka. We paid real money for that building. They went to court, blocked me. I prevailed in the commercial court. Court didn't give me costs. They claimed they also bought the building. Court said no, Nattif is there legally. They brought police, welded the doors, poured trucks of stones there just to stop me operating. Up to today, police is there illegally. Someone pays them. Former speaker, I believe, threatens the board chairman of NDA, you license that man, you lose your job. Politician to politician. I need to protect my Kamali people. Those things that you hear about. Nasty work. If I opened that place every day, I'd probably make 40 million shillings a day. I haven't sold a pill there in like 5.5 years now. How much money have I lost? It's the hustle. You just understand. Looking back, perhaps I should have thought about the safe corridor earlier, but sometimes you don't negotiate with terrorists. The people who have been kindest to me have been Indians. The one who threw me in jail was an Indian. We are friends today. It's called Deepak. You know him. We're very good friends. I love him. It was a business decision. He saw the quickest way to get his 9 million shillings. Learned a lesson there. He's a billionaire. But at the risk of losing a friendship, like I need to collect that 9 million. That's a lesson that I learned. I'm grateful. I also then got into the dungeons of CPS and realized there's people they were holding there for 2 months, 3 months. People whose orientation in terms of light is not there. Those are lessons that I'm grateful for. Then there's this guy of Come Care. It's called Ketan. He's God's gift to Ugandans in the farmer space. He really is. I even get emotional talking about him. He's a good human being. So his color doesn't matter. Oftentimes I don't even see color. It's strange. Also, maybe it's a privileged thing to say. I genuinely think it is a privileged thing to say so. But he has a good heart. You'd open a pharmacy. You're like, Ketan, I have 10 million shillings, I want medicines of 100 million. Like, where is the place? Let me come and visit. Oh, you come, let's talk. These people are like, no, this man, he won't pay what? I've got the measure of that man. I don't know his home, I don't know what, but I've got the measure of that man. He will pay. He's done it for all these big pharmaceutical retailers. Every one of them, he stood in the gap for them, those Africans. So oftentimes it's not just the Indians are bad or Indians are good or whatever. It's just humans. But also they have a very close-knit community. So when they choose to compete, they recognize your blackness. Cocaine, money, guns. Never forget that. It's not personal. It's business. So the annoying ones are the ones that own a manufacturing facility, they distribute their own medicines, and then they also go and retail. When you look back and you're like, why are you this greedy? The guy has one child. Child drives a Ferrari on streets that are crappy. When they have to go to Gulu, they have a kachopa somewhere in a hangar at home. You go to their homes in Jinja and wherever they are, and you have to drive close to a kilometer to reach the house. But he's squeezing the last coin out of it. As is his right, really. We can cry about it. But such is the nature of freedom, and these days I fight for freedom for people to do whatever they please, and with their money and with their businesses. And it's a bit heartbreaking. And it's not like the government is going to come to your rescue. You're on your own. Those guys have all your regulators in their back pocket. You can't do much. Look at this thing, NMS, where it says we're going to give 15% incentives to local manufacturers. But still, the guys who take those contracts are Indians. They are away from Uganda. They import that stuff. A guy will sell you a drug that has maximum recommended retail price $1. Wholesales it for $10 here. I say, man, I'm helping you, banner. What do? You buy it for 10, you go and sell it for 15 in your village in Manafa, and you survive. It's heartbreaking, but we need to rework that system to ensure that it prioritizes people, like real people. There's real people at the end of that ridiculous pricing.
It's very related to that.
Yeah, go for it.
And very unpopular. See, I'm very sure everyone in this room appreciates that capitalism is extremely brutal.
Tell me about it.
The ones at the top of the chain feed on the ones below, and
They don't
everyone
have to,
else.
but yeah.
And I think that's how it's just built as a system. I mean, even in countries that seem to be upright, at least the ones I've seen. So,
Competition at its most perfect self has to result in death.
Thank you. Thank you. So, to think that capitalism will have a touch of fairness is to breed mediocrity that won't thrive.
Not necessarily. I'll tell you a story. Do you know my favorite pharmacy people? No, outside Guardian. See, oh God, no.
Oh my goodness, C&A.
C&A.
Yeah, I like them too.
So, C&A's dominant pharmacy do a back and forth, cross-checking, and it improved our inventory management. We even ended up getting one of their. We didn't steal him. Genuinely, we didn't. No. He had left. He was going to do some other things. So we got him, and of course, Carol knew. You don't just blindside her. And up to today, he makes Guardian's inventory just balance. He's one of the most incredible people. He's called Roger Chivongi. You know him. He's one of the most incredible people, hardworking, loyal. I got him from Carol. So competition is good. The fierce variety that you see in those other guys you mentioned, and those other Wandegea babes, that's just ghetto. Honestly, it's just ghetto. Especially when you look at healthcare, it's a service. It's a service. It's to that patient. So when you're running pharmacies like you're running a Chikugo shop. Guardian, I haven't checked now, but I think they have maintained this. I believe that a pharmacy shouldn't be opened without a pharmacist on the floor. It doesn't have to be the supervising pharmacist. Up to today, I think they've maintained it. You go there, you will have a pharmacist on the floor somewhere. Get them young, put them there. The guy who mentored me, Patrick Ogwang and Grace Menyira of Vine, it was from second year pharmacy school. So now, of course, Guardian has different hiring standards. You have to have your degree and all. But still, give you a chance and then you go through the system, mentor them. And so when competitors see that, and also you make sure you pay like at least 30 to 40% above market rate, I would obsessively check how much the market was paying so I can pay 40% more. Obsessively, for me, it was one of those, you know when you have an HR manager, you're like, I need to know that if we do the average for experience and qualifications, and we look at average industry pay, we have to be paying 40% above that. 2, staff turnover. If we lose a member of staff, we have lost family. So for me, it was so painful to see people go. It was important that you make people comfortable to want to stay. There's a lady called Linda Kamara. She now is the one who runs Rocket Health, merged with Guardian. This is the last story I'm telling, unless there's another question. She showed up first month in Kabalagala. We had a pharmacy, like you see where your chair stops, up to here, and then there. It was super tiny, guys. It was 24 square, remember. Like a corridor. She walks in, says, you know, Tony, yeah? Yeah, I'm like, yes. Who manages this pharmacy? Who is the manager? I'm told you have a branch manager. Something to that effect. This drug is there, it's wrongly placed. This one is there, it's wrongly placed. This one. I think you guys need to hire me. And the person she was kind of dissing is there. She's the one supposed to interview her. So they go to a corner there. We had a small corner with green chairs. They go there, have a conversation. I'm there watching. For me, in my head, I had already hired her. Like, I was like, my goodness, this is amazing confidence. So back then, I was shuffling between Kampala and Seattle. iPads were all the rage. I'm talking 2013. So we had a gift. Employee of the month got an iPad. That girl never opened a pharmacy a minute late, never left a minute early. I do not think she has ever done that in the 11 years she's worked with the company. She won those iPads and then we banned the award. We just said, no. No, like that level of professionalism I have never seen in Uganda. Never. Like a very beautiful girl, extremely smart, like comes from a polished family, amazing parents. She has a very nice husband. Like committed to their job. Hack I'm going to give you as we close. When you find stuff like that, ask them to hire their friends. And then mentor them. You make sure they are loyal to you. So you're like, the people you bring screw up, the blame is, and they know it, they usually know it. They hire, they train, they fire. And it works. Until you grow so much that their responsibility gets so overwhelming that, you know. Yeah, so I hope we've answered as many of your questions as possible. I do appreciate you, David, and your team for putting this together. You can talk till morning. This gives me that pocket of joy, some, you know, brief respite from activism. I rarely want to talk about business because I have PTSD. Yeah, but it's refreshing to see people dreaming, to build about building things. You can hit me up. David has my number if you want to ask a question. If it's in the pharma industry, I would be happy to make a call to Ketan especially to support you. To the regulators if they're being pricks. Oh, sorry. No, not sorry. But sorry. Yeah. And stuff like that. Because when you win, I mean, we all win. Yeah, we need more successful companies because no jobs in this country. Some of the smartest people I've ever seen, you find them rotting away in bars. Unmet potential. So every new successful company we build produces that number, and it's a good thing. Yeah. Kali, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And thank you for my book. The best gift someone can give me is a book. Shout out Emmanuel Kirunda. Yeah. Today, she is still amazing. So it's a hack. If you're building a company in an If you're building a company in an industry where you have some expertise, go and teach. Hey, go and teach. You get your talent and you get
That's
the
very
best.
true. Yeah, anyway, we met at some business sandbox some time back,
Yes.
and she has raised something about specialties in pharmacy. It's something that I actually raised that day, the same question that she asked. I asked that same question. And you talked about boards and building boards. And this is like from what I've gathered. I think it's a year now or something. Yes, we are in the building space, but it kind of died out. And why it happened is because after that, I was inspired by what you said. Get a board, start right away, and then
Yeah,
do that.
meant the habit of corporate governance, your thing.
Yeah, so trust me, 1 week after that, I had to gather these people and then tell them about what I gathered and what, and we need to
I'm
get
proud
a
of
board
you.
and all
I'm
that.
very proud of you.
Yeah, but then something came up, like when because we were three by then, we had that thing in mind and we were still talking about it, building it and all that. Then we bring up someone and like it kind of put the thing down, like lagged the thing down. So here goes my question. Do you think it's better to bring up like more board members when the company is standing, or it's better to start with everyone that you would like to work with?
Sorry, can we answer this question from her? Sorry, let's have that discussion.
Okay. Yeah, like that's a very interesting